Alright, so this might be the craziest video I may ever make. I had a super crazy experience the last couple nights. I woke up, well, first of all, I sleep with Luke. Luke is my rescue dog who was rescued from Roswell, New Mexico. He often sleeps on top of me, so I'm constantly waking up in the middle of the night. Last night, I woke up around 4 a.m. and I had the song Pray Crack the Sky by Brand New stuck in my head. I didn't think anything of it last night. I was like, oh yeah, I know that song, but it's like, what was it trying to tell me? I don't really know. And I just went back to sleep. So tonight, again, and by the way, that was like 4:15, 4:30 in the morning, sometime around then. Tonight, dead ass sleep. My dog Luke sleeps on the bed on his bed on the floor last night, and he nuzzles me around 4:15 in the morning and wakes me up because he wants to crawl in bed so he can sleep on top of me. So I'm trying to go back to sleep and I hear that same song again. So I'm like, that's not a coincidence that I'm woken up at 4 a.m. both nights, 2 nights in a row, to these song lyrics. These song lyrics by Brand New go like this. We sent out the SOS call. It was 4:15 in the morning. The storm broke our second anchor line. 4 months at sea, 4 months of calm seas to be pounded by the shallows off the tip of Montauk Point. They call them rogues. They travel fast and alone. 100-foot faces of God's good ocean gone wrong. What they call love is a risk to always get hit out of nowhere by some wave and end up on your own. That's, summary of the lyrics, the ones that stood out to me, the ones that I heard in my head. So I Google them. I come across the first thing I Google when I don't know, something about Montauk Point was significant. So I was like, I'll Google that. It takes me directly to a conspiracy theory about Montauk Point, where they did government experiments on people, and that is what the show Stranger Things was inspired by. So if you haven't seen Stranger Things, I don't think I've seen all 4 seasons or however many there are. I watched the first one, but it was basically about that girl 11 who had been experimented on by a government programming, and she's one of many who were experimented on and have special powers like telekinesis and stuff like that. Clearly, I experienced some of these gifts my own. I haven't been able to move things with my mind yet physically, like a pencil or anything, but I get messages, I get downloads, in meditation and during readings. I probably shouldn't be saying this. Well, whatever. Okay, I'm not the only one who does readings and who does Alright, I am opening this voice clip because I just had the craziest, coolest experience ever. Last night, I woke up around 4 a.m. I don't remember, it was past 4 a.m., and I can't remember if my dog woke me up that night, but he slept by my side, as he always does, so he's always laying on top of me, and I'm half asleep, but it's pretty common for me to wake up at this time of night pretty frequently. However, a lot of times I am not super aware because I'm still in between those stages of sleep and consciousness. But last night I woke up around 4 a.m., probably like closer to 4:30 or 4:15, and I had the song Play Crack the Sky by Brand New stuck in my head. If you don't know that song, here are the lyrics. It goes, your tongue is... I can't sing it. It just... Alright, so it goes, your tongue is a rudder. It steers the whole ship, sends your words past your lips, or keeps them safe behind your teeth. The wrong words will strand you, come off course while you sleep, send your boat off to sea, or dash to bits on the reefs. And then the song opens with, we sent out the SOS call. It was 4:15 in the morning. The storm broke our second anchor line. 4 months at sea, 4 months of calm seas to be pounded by the shallows off the tip of Montauk Point. They call them rogues. They travel fast and alone. 100-foot faces of God's good ocean gone wrong. What they call love is a risk to always get hit out of nowhere by some wave and end up on your own. Alright, so the song goes on and on. So last night, I wake up to this song in my head. I'm thinking about looking it up, but I'm half asleep and I don't want to lose my ability to sleep soundly. I didn't want to wake myself up too much, so I didn't look up the lyrics fully. So, flash forward, night 2. I'm woken up again, except this time my dog Luke is sleeping on the floor, and he comes and nudges me about 4:15 in the morning, and then I'm laying here and I hear that song in my head again. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's the second time in 2 days that I've heard that song. I also want to point out that I'm 3 weeks sober, and I'm also I did a 48-hour fast, and then I did 2 20-hour fasts, and I only ate in a 4-hour window. So I did that 2 nights in a row. So why that is important, first off, fasting. A lot of people do fasting for spiritual purposes. It helps your mind stay clear, but it also helps you focus more clearly and tune in more clearly, because your body is not bombarded with trying to digest food, and you're not all thrown off when you're not eating like that. So I've never felt more clear in my life by fasting for those 2 days, plus sobriety. Sobriety is important because when you smoke weed daily, like I was for quite a while, it kills your ability to dream. And there was a period of time when I had closer to 7 years of pretty much consecutive sobriety. I think I would have like a year and a half of sobriety, and then would slip up and either drink again or smoke weed again, and then go back to sobriety. And most of it had is usually like a year and a half period. But after those long year and a half periods, my dreams started to get very vivid, and I started having really vivid dreams where I was, I guess, astral traveling, or no, I guess it was more like lucid dreaming, right? Because I could control my dreams, and this was happening almost nightly. But then when I moved out here, I started taking edibles, sativa edibles, and I would just take an edible at night when I was sleeping, and it would help me. Like, I don't know if it helped me or hindered me, but it definitely served its purpose during the time that I did take them. But after a while, it led to smoking weed instead of taking edibles. And the edibles, when I was taking the sativa, I was a lot better when I was just doing those, and I would lay in bed and do creative projects, and I swear to God, it helped me be single and be okay in my own company. Not that I wasn't before, but it just made me more, in that headspace where I just wanted to be alone and create. But then it led to smoking weed, and we don't know what the dispensaries are putting in our products, but all I know is that when I started smoking it started making me want to smoke daily, and then it turned into hourly, and it was making me tired and unmotivated, and I wasn't remembering my dreams. So back to my story about waking up in the middle of the night. I believe that since I've been sober and clear-headed, I've been more apt to waking up during this time of night. And this time of night is a very special time of night because not a lot of people are awake in the world. So we all have energy fields, and we all are affected by each other's energy fields. Human design teaches us this. We have open and closed centers, chakra centers, where we take in energy or project energy. Everybody is psychic, whether you know it or not. It's just that we're not taught that, and we're also not taught how to receive each other. But everybody is empathic in some way. Some people have an open headspace so they can hear thoughts implanted. They can feel the thoughts of other people. Some people have open belief centers, which is why people change their belief systems a lot depending on their environment and who they're with. And some people have a closed center, which means those beliefs are defined, and for the most part, they don't change because they have a constant. When you have a closed center, you have a constant stream of energy that's coming through. And then we have the throat center. Some people who have throat centers open, they just pick up the vocal or the throat chakra activity from their environment. So since they're an open receiver, because that's what humans are, we are antenna, we are receivers, okay? And this is going to get so effing crazy. But since my ADD is hopping around, I do have to go back to the fact that my dog woke me up at 4:30 or 4:15 both nights. The song lyrics are about 4:15 in the morning, which is when I woke up. And then it was about Montauk Point. When I Googled what Montauk Point is, it was a supposed conspiracy theory where it was a secret government site where they were running experiments on people, like in the movie Stranger Things. The show Stranger Things was actually inspired by the experiments at Montauk Point. My dog he's a rescue from Roswell, New Mexico. So it's going to get even crazier. I am best friends with somebody in Ohio, and he's reading a book about UAFs right now. And a couple nights ago, he had sent me some passages, and I did not read them because I was busy that day, so I forgot about them. So I wake up in the middle of the night, 4:30. I'm like, Google those lyrics. First of all, it's called "Play Crack the Sky," okay? And the album Deja Entendu is a guy in a spacesuit, and there's like the sky blowing up behind him, and a lot of the song is about symbolism and in the water, I don't know. So anyways, the album's called Deja Entendu. So a lot of like symbology about space and stuff and water. And now we're just discovering that these UAFs and UAPs, their spaceship headquarters are in the water. So I go back after looking up the song lyrics and Googling what Montauk Point was, because I felt that was significant. I go back to my friend who had sent me the passages, and I read them, both passages that he sent me, which I'll link if anybody is, listening to this.
they were talking about New York, which is where Montauk Point is, and Roswell, which is where my dog is from. He was rescued off a reservation in Roswell, New Mexico, and my mom and I always call him Alien because he looks like an alien. So my mind is so blown right now. And I'm also being reminded of an episode of Fringe that I watched where this guy was part of an experimental, was part of some kind of government experiment where he had vaccines or something in that. I can't remember now if it was vaccines in the episode, but the tie to vaccines is that vaccines have metals, heavy metals in them. And the government is now forcing children to have vaccines right when they're born in this world. We get stabbed and they scrape our heel too, which is also significant in astrology in the Bible. I'd have to look more into that though, because I'm not quite remembering exactly what it says. But that's significant. And back to this episode. So he had heavy metals injected into his body, and a couple years later he starts having these visions. He thinks he's psychic and he's predicting things and he's hearing voices in his head happen before they actually do. And then at some point in the episode, they realize that he is literally receiving conversations from a guy who was like bombing a place or something. So he was able to use his quote unquote psychic senses and his, premonitions, because he was actually being used as an antenna and he was picking up the radio communication from these people. So why is that significant? Well, I was born in the 80s and I know that I am not alone in this. I think that there's many more people like me who have voices in their head and what we call premonitions. And I think it is no coincidence that vaccines and the things they're spraying into our atmosphere through weather modification systems and cloud seeding, and the foods that we eat having heavy metals, I'm trying to figure out if it's trying to clog our system or if the metals in our diets are making us more susceptible to alien technology or well, I'm just going to call it alien technology because that's what I think it's coming from. I mean, all this stuff is already coming out as basically being disclosed right now anyways. People are being more and more receptive to the fact that this stuff is real. It's just that on a mass level, we're not quite ready to all receive that information yet. And there could be dire consequences to the public, not because we have anything necessarily to be worried about with the alien technology, but more so because technology, like anything, it can be used for good or evil. It depends on how it's being received and by who it's being received by. Therefore, and I'm also getting the atomic energy or atomic bombs. Like, for example, I was watching another person who pops up on YouTube recently, Bill Donahue, and he talks about the Bible and interpretations of the Bible and not how religions have interpreted it to make us feel disempowered as humans and to make us rely on the church and entities outside of ourselves, because that's what religion is all about. It's about control, and it's about teaching people to rely on their pastors or the Bible or something outside themselves and to be afraid of their own thoughts and be afraid of themselves, which is much like 12-step programs, which I was a part of for a long time, which is why I left. Because when you first come in, they tell you, you can't trust your own thoughts. You have to listen to a sponsor, like listen to other people before you can trust yourself. So their whole thing is like brainwashing you not to trust yourself, which is great when you're first becoming sober because your mind is a little wonky because you're choosing drugs and you're destroying your brain. But after a while, once your head starts to get clear and you get a handle on your addiction and you stop doing it daily and you start doing the inner work to let go of some of your traumas and to undo some of that programming, after a while, after years of being around them, when they're still telling you not to trust your intuition, there's something wrong. When anyone is telling you not to trust your own intuition and telling you that somebody else has power over you or you should rely on something outside of you, you run for the hills, because that's not for our best interest. That is for other entities to maintain some kind of control. So as humans, we are all receivers. Like I said earlier, with human design, which is why I fell in love with it. It talks about how each human is like a crystal. Our consciousness is programmed with a crystal of consciousness. And last night, I don't think it's a coincidence that I watched this movie called You Will Not Be Saved or something, or No One Will Be Saved, something like that. But it's about alien and abduction. This girl wakes up to an alien in her house and she thinks the alien's trying to attack her, so she attacks it. And then she realizes that it's kind of like what's happening now, which is scary, because I've seen a lot of stuff on TikTok where there's like just a ton of drones and spacecraft in the sky. So people are getting like abducted by these alien creatures who are coming in the middle of the night and then implanting them with these things in their minds that look like brains. They're making them swallow the brains in their mouth, and then those brains are traveling down the esophagus, and then they're taking control of the humans. So that is how the alien abduction and how Earth is being taken over by these species. But at the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like it's kind of relevant in what is happening, because there are, let's just say, like fast forward like 15 seconds, or I'll put a timestamp so I don't spoil the movie for you. But I'm going to give you a second to turn it off. 1, 2, 3. Okay, turn it off if you don't want me to spoil this movie. But at the end of the movie, she is saved. There's and I don't know if anybody else is saved, but she's saved. And then she was a person in society who was an outcast, much like me and many others who are mentally ill, who have struggled with alcoholism, mental illness, people who have been abducted by aliens, who get made fun of and discredited, people who are conspiracy theorists, who think for themselves, who get discredited. There's so much gaslighting going on. Those people were saved at the end. Or she was saved. So I'm assuming maybe other people were, but the aliens were able to touch her head when they brought her to the spaceship, and then read her mind, and she's taken back to like some experience she had as a child or something. But anyways, she was shunned from her community. So at the end of the movie, all of the aliens are dancing, and it's happy, and there's colors, and everybody has come together in community, and I have crazy chills right now, and she was saved. Okay. And then last year, or a couple years ago, it was 2023 in July, I'd gone on a mushroom trip, which I don't do often. I only do it, every 6 months to a year. I think it's sacred, and I think that it opens up a part of our brain. But I think with anything, if you overuse it, it can be damaging instead of helpful. So every time I've tripped on mushrooms, I've been clear-headed before, or I had a period of like sobriety or mostly sobriety, and I was using it more consciously. So this night in particular, I was channeling something. I opened up my voice notes, and I was receiving thought forms and translating them in a voice clip, and my body was getting chilled up, and I was experiencing waves of emotions. There's time travel. So I had written a song that night too called The Chosen Ones, and the lyrics are, been traveling time from another sun, 1,000 lives, what's another one? Trudge through the dark for the innocent, just live your life here the best you can. Eyes on the prize, you're the chosen one, and keep them wide, staying on guard. Just shed your blood for the innocent and live your life the best you can. Back on earth for another one, I see your face and I come undone. When it's our time, we intersect. 1,000 lives, how could we forget? We travel time, it's a lonely one, from many moons and many suns. Eyes on the prize, we're not holding back. 1,000 lives, how could we forget? How could we forget? How could we forget? So anyways, the song is about chosen ones. One of the things, that was the first, experience that I had. That was the first thing that came through when I was channeling on mushrooms, because if you're a musician, you're channeling, especially, well, I mean, I can't say that for everyone, but for me, I receive thought streams and I receive the music in my head. And sometimes I download full songs in my head when I've written songs. And I have yet to share my music with the world, because timing is everything, and the world was not ready for what I have to say. And I wasn't ready back then, but I was in a state of mind where I was able to receive those downloads in the form of music, which is a universal language that people understand, and it can communicate things to people that other people can't, or that other things can't. So anyways, these songs were about cell phones back in 2014, before everybody was really, really controlled by cell phones and handheld devices and Google computers at our fingertips, etc. So it's making me want to release some of this stuff soon, which I will, and I plan to, but so that was the first thing I channeled, was the song I wrote called The Chosen Ones, which I also have yet to share, because my ex-boyfriend tried to steal it from me and claim credit for something that he did not write. Anyways, I have taken my lyrics and I made my own beat and my own, a new melody, a different melody for that. So that's a song I'm working on that I'll get out to the public at some point as well. Anyways, that was the first thing I channeled in mushrooms. The second thing I channeled that was really strongly coming through was that how there's a lot of, I would say, demons, what we might call as demons on Earth, negative alien influences or demonic influences, which might just be alien influences. I guess I'm not really sure, unless who knows if this is something being channeled through me, because hold on, my ADD has to jump around again. Speaking of channeling, and the message that I shared about the show Fringe, the episode where the guy was injected with metals. So all of our vaccines that we are required by law to take, and that our children are forced and pumped with, and the foods and the cloud seeding and all that stuff I talked about, it all has heavy metals in it. So we're literally already empathic human beings, and we already know that they have satellites and they've got technology in the sky. They have 5G cell phone towers, they've got radio waves, and there's already invisible forces of technology that we can't see with our physical eyes, but that are still controlling things, because how else would we have the internet? How else would we be able to make phone calls? Everything is attached to a certain frequency. When you are awake, especially at 4 a.m, it's a time when your brain can receive those, because you're not in the alpha brain waves that you are during the day when you're learning, when you're reading, when you're consuming information, when you're active. Instead, your mind is like theta waves, or what's the other one we go deep into when we sleep? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'm just going to go with theta for now. But it's slower brain waves, so you're able to tap into this frequency. So there's beams that they send down, I was going to say every night. I don't know if it's every night all the time what's going on, but I believe that when you as a channel are receiving these messages, you are a chosen one. You're one of the few who has the headspace to A, understand what's going on, and B, point blank receive these messages. What is sad and scary and what is happening on Earth is that you've got different agendas. You've got different alien races that are seated on the planet through portals in the sky. It's like crazy chills right now. Through the stars. The stars are portals. It's like the movie Stargate. So you have, oh my god, crazy fucking chills, extraterrestrial races who are actually already here, although they are in human forms, but they're connecting through us, through our conscious mind, through light particles. They don't have human form, but they have merged with our consciousness, or they are our consciousness. Maybe some of us just are straight up aliens, and I don't know, but I've also explored the concept of walk-in souls, which is something that may have even happened. I don't know if it happened to me or what, but I remember, if I look back on my life before I ever got sober, when I was just depressed, I mean, I think I'm still the same person as I am now, because I was receiving a lot of those like downloads, but they were coming through in the form of music back, before the year 2012 and before 2014 strongly. I still write music from time to time when I'm inspired, but I was heavily writing music for over a decade between the ages of 17 and I guess closer to 27. And then when I got older, then my gifts were more enhanced. And I was more inspired to like learn human design, learn astrology, learn tarot, share tarot. And right now I'm being inspired to create Starletta content, which is Starletta channeling aliens, which have been coming through to me and many other people on this planet for a long time now, except we don't talk about it because we come off as crazy. And I wasn't even sure I even believed in this stuff now, but now we literally have drones and alien spacecraft outside of our houses, and full disclosure is already happening all over the place. We're hearing it on podcasts, you're hearing it from different channels, you're hearing it from spiritual channels on the internet and people who have the ability to channel these messages. And if you notice a common theme, most of them are waking up at 4 a.m. with these these urges to share messages like I am now, because they feel very important and relevant. So what's happening is that there are a lot of people who are in vibrational vicinity to receive these messages, and the people who are meant to hear them, they will, because they're activation codes. So that's why if you're resonating with my content, you are a chosen one. You're supposed to be here. There is no doubt about it. And another breadcrumb I'm going to leave with you is somebody called Bill Donahue. He's got videos all over YouTube. And if you've ever been into spirituality, but not necessarily religion, or maybe you are into religion, but you still have moments of doubt where something just doesn't quite feel right, I strongly encourage you to watch his videos. He's got a lot of interesting stuff, even some stuff about aliens and the Bible. So if you feel so called, that might be something worth looking into. There's a reason that we are drawn to each other. There's a reason we vibrate and we are energetically in alignment with certain content that we consume, because we're a vibrational match to it, and they're activation codes. It's these light seeds of consciousness, because we as humans are energized by the sun. Our bodies are just vessels. Our consciousness is, in astrology, the sun is your consciousness. That is what your sun sign is. The moon is the unconscious, the dark side of us, the unconscious stuff, that the programs that are running on autopilot behind us, behind the scenes, that we don't even necessarily know about. That's why it's incredibly important to meditate and to meditate, and the sun is consciousness. Okay, that's what we're consciously aware of. Our belief systems, our actions, and what we're doing in the external world, what our purpose is, what our life path is. The moon sign is your unconscious sign. That's unconscious programming that runs behind the scenes. So that is like your belief systems that are creating your reality for you. So for example, I may have a lot of limiting beliefs about money because of unconscious programming that was happening as a child that I picked up from my parents and the world and schools and government and TV, etc. So sun is a star, and then if you ever go out at the night sky, you'll also see twinkling stars everywhere. And these stars are all portals. These are portals of where light photons can travel through these portals, light bodies, faster than we can. And that is why when you rise in consciousness on the planet, you experience things like reverse aging, or you're not susceptible to the certain diseases from the 3D matrix programming. So people who have a lot of things in their energy field that they have yet to clear, stuck emotions, people who are particularly not comfortable expressing emotions, they hold it all in their bodies very tightly and they're very rigid. They're creating blocks in their energetic field, and they're aligning themselves with the lower levels of the matrix, aka denser levels of reality. When you're living in a denser level of reality, you can't create as fast. You can't move as fluidly. You're used to moving and operating in the 3D reality, which is, I have to use matter to create matter, versus creating matter through consciousness, through conscious thought that I am directing. And then through that conscious thought, aka light codes from the sun, from the star systems, from these beings that we're connecting to and channeling to. And I think it makes it easier to have those metals in our body, because that is how they're communicating with us and how we're receiving these downloads to share with humanity. So the aliens are not physically showing themselves, except maybe in rare cases or some cases. Perhaps they have, and perhaps they will someday, because the veil is getting thinner and maybe more and more people are waking up and they're going to be able to actually see that. But for the most part, it's more rare that they show us in their true form, even though they have been here before and they have showed us in some people. But for the most part, a lot of us are just receiving these messages through our mind. And what is very interesting is that there's multiple agendas on this planet. There are negative agendas who wish to remain in control. They use Earth for its resources, like lithium. That's a big one. The Salton Sea is dried up. There's huge lithium deposits out there. I don't know how I know that, other than this was another download that I had like almost a year ago, and was like looking at land outside, kind of like on Highway 111 near Indio or somewhere near California. But the Salton Sea, I did some research, led me down a rabbit hole, found out there's huge lithium deposits there. The Earth agenda for 2030 wants everybody running electric cars. They need those lithium for AI technology. So they want to rape and pillage the Earth and use the Earth's supplies of lithium to continue forward with their agenda. So there's mass agendas on this planet trying to spread disinformation. So it's making me wonder if those who are saying like detox your body from heavy metals, like I said, I think those metals, it can be, for better or worse, depending on your personal frequency and what heavy things that you're carrying around in your auric field. That determines what messages and what star systems and what star portals and what extraterrestrial intelligence you personally are connecting to as a personal channel. You can connect to those lower level 3D matrix programming if you live in fear, if you live in anxiety. Chances are you're probably either, if you are living in constant fear and anxiety and depression and you're not actively trying to raise your vibration and frequency and get rid of the lower, level emotions and densities in your energy field, then you're probably turning off this video or thinking that this is a bunch of nonsense, which is part of that programming, because you're in a lower, a different vibrational frequency. So you are more connected to the depopulation agendas on the planet and those that are trying to maintain control. Whereas if you operate more frequently in the love and light frequencies, in joy, in clarity, in hope, in enlightenment, seeking knowledge, wisdom, the higher level emotions and frequencies, there's a vibrational scale. So I also feel like that's important for me to share with anyone listening to this. But your vibrational frequency. So when you make conscious effort to align yourself and your own thought patterns with these higher level frequencies, you are able to receive higher level consciousness and alien agendas, extraterrestrial agendas. We may even call these earthly angels, earth angels, and angels, which are angles of light. Angel, spelled very similarly, but changed. So angels are light beings. They are of the light. They bring to light. They bring things to light. But like light codes is where we spread information, and DNA, light particles. And if you even think about the universe, light particles, they travel far across the universe. A star that's dying, we're still seeing that in the sky, thousands of light years away. But that information is just now hitting us. So that's why, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm having crazy chills right now. This is so wild. That is why, that song they wrote, we travel time from another sun. We're literally time travelers. So the consciousness that I've been connected to for a while, I don't know if I was born with this extra, strand of my DNA, which I do think I was. I think a lot of us, there are certain personalities. If you were born during a cusp, this is a telltale sign that you are of that DNA, a specific DNA that is specifically designed to receive these light codes. Your soul chose to incarnate at certain points for this specific reason, so you could receive certain messages. And timing is everything. A lot of us have quote unquote suffered here in earthly terms. We are not of this world. We know a different world. We know different universes. We know realities of peace and love, and where people are our people, our planet is living in harmony with not only the earth, but the animals and the humans. And I'm starting to get really emotional because I'm seeing such a beautiful, reality in this new earth. And it's what I have been, gifted with bringing down to this planet, and this strong desire that I have for freedom, for stories, this sanctuary. And it's all coming together for me right now, which is really cool. And perhaps some people probably are going to think I'm a nutcase, but I don't care, because there's other people who will receive this message and understand it because they've had it happen to them. And let me tell you, one of the only reasons I've been able to receive these messages is because I spent years of my life getting sober. I spent years of my life reading, learning, seeking out knowledge, and most importantly, meditating. Meditate. I can't say that enough. Meditation, it clears your mind. And during the time when I was learning meditation back in 2017, by the way, if we're going to go back to the Bible and the quote unquote 7 years of tribulation, those have already happened. We as light workers, as quote unquote chosen ones, aka those 144,000, which is a frequency, those who have awoken the Kundalini energy that has risen from the base of the spine up into the higher chakras. Our energy lives in the higher chakras. We're no longer concerned with the root chakra experience of being a human, even though some of us are and some of us have kind of struggled with money and rooting ourselves into these earth programs because they're so foreign to us here. The Kundalini energy starts at the base of the spine, so it's the root chakra. It is the sacral energy is the next one that it comes through, so it awakens your sexual energy and your creative energy. So a lot of people, might stay stuck in that sexual energy if they're not channeling their sexual energy. That's why I always talk strongly about channeling your sexual energy. That's another thing I've been practicing is celibacy. There is a reason, because when we are not maintaining our sexual energy, first of all, light codes are spread through DNA. They are spread through our fluids, mixing with other people through sexual energy, because we're literally merging energy fields with that person, and we're literally absorbing strands, part of their DNA into our body, into our consciousness, into our mind. So whatever trauma they have, we take on. This can be for better or worse, because like is going to attract like. Oftentimes we attract partners who have our same programming. So chances are, if somebody is suffering with a lot of addiction and alcoholism and mental illness, strong chance that they are also a gifted one, a chosen one. However, they have fallen into the negative extremes of that, where they have self-medicated to numb themselves. There's a reason why this planet pushes alcohol and pushes drugs on us, because it numbs us. It stops us from dreaming. It keeps us in lower level vibrational states. Okay. So we're not able to receive messages from our higher consciousness. So that is why sobriety is super important. And once that energy starts to rise through the sexual energy chakras, and you may feel like a strong sexual energy, but anyone that you connect to during this time, you're sharing the light codes with them. And if they're also a chosen one, then you guys are accelerating each other's growth, like stars, like binary stars. I encourage anyone to look up a binary star. But what binary stars are, they're stars from the same system who travel, they have the same frequency, and they mirror each other. We also call this concept on Earth twin flames. So they mirror each other, they take light from each other, and they're helping other star systems grow. So that's why, crazy. So that's why you may be a person who has multiple twin flames, aka multiple short-term relationships and people that you've had short, intense relationship experiences with. You are twin flames with all of these people. You are part of a binary star system. You are helping each other grow through the contrast. So I'm with somebody and we connect and we have an experience together that is very, crazy. So we grow from it, because that darkness is coming to light in our consciousness. And if we alchemize the darkness, we will grow and we will get better. What a lot of people don't do is they continue to stay stuck and they drink over it and they, continue to do unhealthy things because they don't want to deal with their emotions. But also I would dare to say that most people who've been through any kind of twin flame relationship is better for it, and they've changed forever for it. So oftentimes what happens is the twin flames will break up and then they'll both move on to other relationships. So other people who are part of their own twin flames. So they steal light from one person, so they grow, and then they move on to another relationship and they take light, or AKA they take consciousness, seeds of consciousness through sexual intimacy. They take them from these partners and then they move on to other partners. So these people who have chosen this path, specifically those of us who are not married, who are not in one long relationship, we're taking light codes and experiences from multiple other souls and star systems. So that's why we're able to accelerate our growth and our path here on Earth, because many of us have chosen to come here as teachers and leaders of the new Earth age agenda that is taking place on the planet. Because so anyone who's environmentally activist, who resonates deeply with the earth, who feels the pain of the earth, who intuitively understands how to care for animals and plants, we are here on a mission to save Earth, because Earth is a consciousness as well. And we're the core, something about the core stuff that's happening in the Earth's core. I don't know if there's like species that live there. I mean, that's part of conspiracies, that they're quote unquote conspiracy, that there's alien races and whatnot living in the Earth's core, but also in mountain ranges, so, and in the ocean now too. Earth is a consciousness of its own, and Earth is purging right now the natural disasters. This is not by mistake. There's mass agendas on this Earth. Some are for better, some are for worse. Even the so-called conspiracy theorists like HARP, weather modification systems, there's agendas on this planet who want to destroy to awaken. I don't know what I'm getting. It's interesting. So actually now it's like more stuff coming through, like nothing to be feared, but in this purging process, those who are not in we've all chosen different roles in this simulation, in this experience. So there are going to be a lot of us that don't make it through the natural disasters. We already have seen this with COVID. We have already seen this with natural disasters that have hit us off guard, with the wildfires, with the hurricanes, and they've hit us boom, 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 one after the other. And it's not going to stop there. Unfortunately, there's going to be other experiences throughout the year of 2025 because we're purging. We're at the 29th degree. It's an anaretic degree point in astrology, which means it's about endings and crisis points. But this is all for our highest good. Fire is a cleanser. Something about Arizona in 2027 came up, so I don't know. And there have been prophecies about fires, nuclear war, stuff like that. I really hope it's not a frequency or reality that we are creating, or why that is significant. Maybe that's a potential timeline that we have been trying to avoid against, and that's why the mission here is so strong, because we have seen this timeline in your species and in your simulation, and that is why there is a group of many of us who are down here on the ground in human form, crazy chills right now, who are trying to prevent this agenda by waking people up and spreading knowledge and light codes and stuff. It's nothing to be fearful of, though, because your inner guidance system will always guide you to the right spaces. And when people, quote unquote, die, their consciousness remains. They're only giving up their light. They're only giving up their body, but their consciousness still remains. And those people, those light particles, there's such a thing as earthbound souls. So they're not ready to ascend into the other dimensions or ascend into other areas of consciousness. So they stay around on earth, and they can sync with our thought fields and our thought frequencies, and they can help people from behind the scenes, or they can hurt people if they are of a lower vibrational nature. So that's why you have ghosts and hauntings and people who are haunted, because murderers and rapists and stuff like that resonate with those frequencies. People who have a lot of trauma and pain are often very attractive vessels to these light photons, to these consciousnesses which live inside all of us. We all have light particles of consciousness, the seed of consciousness. That is what human design talks about, the seed of consciousness, the crystal of consciousness. So we are light bodies, we are transmitters, we are receiving energy, we are receiving thought forms, we communicate via light. So we may appear to communicate with humans via our words, but we're literally communicating through light. And we already have telepathic communication here without realizing it. That's why you can sit next to somebody. Have you ever had the experience of knowing somebody really well and sitting next to them, and you can literally read their mind, or you say something that they're thinking, they're like, whoa, I was just thinking of that. Yes, because you are sharing a thought form and an energy field, so you're sharing thoughts. But these are invisible to the human eye. They're literally light particles. Every thought has a form. Everything that is made manifest onto this earth started as a thought form. That is why our thoughts are so important. That is why meditation is so important. Meditation is the number one most important thing, because meditation raises our vibration. It allows us to let go of thoughts and emotions when we focus on our breathing, and you can do certain breathing techniques to get your body in a state of relaxation so that you can receive these light codes and elevate your vibration. With meditation, most people give up before the miracle comes. A lot of people do. A lot of people do guided meditations, which is fine if that's how you have to learn and start, but I strongly encourage those to stop relying on other people's words and stuff, and see what comes through for you. And you will be absolutely amazed at the thoughts you receive, at the inspiration that you receive. You are your own transmitter. You have your own consciousness, your own God consciousness inside of you. So meditation is so important for developing that connection, keeping it strong, so that you can live on your highest timeline. And we all, in order to create more love on earth and to get us in a higher vibrational frequency, we have to elevate the thought forms and frequencies of those around us, so we can prevent these natural disasters and these more dangerous things that are happening on our planet, causing mass destruction, so that we can raise the frequency of the planet, so we are no longer a vibrational match to these events. So that is why new age stuff is becoming more, it's like an agenda. Like, new age stuff is becoming more and more important. However, the other agendas on the planet know this. They know about the new age agenda, and that's why they have infiltrated our systems, and why they have tried to overtake those and claim power over the new age agenda as well. So there's negative agendas within that new age spectrum. So you have to use your intuition. You have to use your discernment. There are cult leaders who are under the guise of, oh, new age, everything love and light. But if your gut feels off about them, these are often sexual predators. They are extortionists. They are just out for their own interests, and they don't care about you or the planet or their new age agenda, but they're capitalizing on something that they know that is going to happen in the future. So stop it. Get rid of these people. Stop worshiping them as your false gods, but you're not going to, because their vibrational frequency is not high enough to exist in these consciousness. So after a certain point, they're not going to even be able to vibrate in your vicinity any longer. They're going to get left behind in the old consciousness, in the 3D earth consciousness, and they cannot ascend with us because they're not of our frequency. Okay, so there's nothing to worry about with them either, because we're past that point here on earth where those people have vibrated out of our energy fields. So not to say that on another simulation or the earth has split. It's already split. We're on a timeline. If you're reading this message, you're on a timeline of the positive changes taking place on the planet. We've made there are huge things to celebrate. And I don't know exactly if we're experiencing kind of like COVID, how you had two people who had exactly different experiences that year in 2020. They were sharing the same planet, but some people, experienced death from family members. They were overworked. They didn't have money. They were forced to get the job. They were disempowered. It was the worst year of their life. They were stuck on lockdown. They were filled with fear. And then you had people who didn't have to get the job. They could see through the agenda taking place. They didn't comply. They didn't lose their job, or they did, if they were, forced to do something they didn't feel comfortable with, and they said, no, I'm not doing this. And then they switched jobs, or they were called off work, and then they got unemployment, and then they got to focus on what it is, use their stimulus money to buy land, or to invest in a creative hobby or pursuit, or to start their own business, however that looks for you personally. So I was in the second category. I actually grew a lot that year. I didn't have to get the job, and I was blessed with a massive amount of unemployment money and stimulus checks, which I used to teach myself how to sew, create costumes, and to get, I wish I had spent it a little better. I spent a lot of my money on costumes and materials for sewing that year, and food, and I paid my mom back for all the help that she's given me over the years. So I was kind of wasting that money on food and stuff. So I wish I had bought land or something. But anyways, everything that doesn't matter, that things were meant to happen the way they are. So different people have different parts of the puzzle, different parts of the mission. Some of us are more focused on bringing in money and resources for the tribe. Some of us are focused on the intellectual pursuits like teaching. Some of us are more hands-on. We're learning to work with plants and animals. So we are all learning our specific skill set. That is why it's very important for you to specifically focus on the gifts that you're most passionate about, that come most naturally to you, because we're all parts of the puzzle, and we need each other to be a part of the puzzle in order to bring the vision of the new earth down here to earth. This is not just for us. This is for the future of humanity. This is for the planet. This is for Earth's consciousness. It's like the Lemurians and the last city of Atlantis. I got crazy chills again. So this is what they tried to create back then, but the timeline we weren't ready yet. The negative frequencies on the planet they ruined that agenda, so that they weren't able to quite create it in that timeline or that simulation. But we are now in a timeline simulation where we are able to bring the new earth vision to life, the new age, the age of Aquarius. The astrology is speaking to it, especially in 2026, 2027. 2025 is a number 9 year. This is just the beginning. 2026 will be a number 1 year. Neptune is moving out of Pisces into Aries. Pisces was all about giving our power to external entities, escapism, martyrism. Aries is all about beginnings, leaders. So there's going to be a lot of different leaders that pop up in a lot of different tribes. I'm getting like the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 zodiac signs. Like there's going to be leaders in different parts of the world, in different communities. So you right now are just finding your tribe, especially during Aquarius season right now. And every Aquarius season, like we've always had little bits of pieces where we may have, started a seed of connection in Aquarius in a couple years ago, but maybe something didn't come to fruition back then, but we connected with certain people during the Aquarian months. But then, life happens. We go on our own separate journey. We learn other frequencies and other lessons, so we don't connect with them until years later. Again, no coincidence that it's during Aquarian season. We connect with them at different timelines, but that's because we, at certain points in our journey, need to separate so we can pursue our own mission. And a lot of us have been isolated in order to develop those skills that we need in order to be effective leaders in our communities, and in order to keep our vibration and our energy pure. So a lot of us have been inspired to move to parts of the country and the states where we're more off grid, where we're in different we're on different parts of the grid. We may be by ley lines, but we may be out of cities. If you have been inspired to move away from people, to isolate, to be closer to nature, there is a reason. You are a chosen one. You are acquiring the skills that you need to be an effective and appropriate leader, to be the builder of new earth. So everybody's learning their skill sets. So no longer do you have to focus on hustle culture or doing these things that are not in alignment with what you are supposed to do. You are supposed to follow your joy and your passion with every ounce of fiber and energy in your body. So you could be an expert in these areas, so you can share these skills with your community to create the new earth, because the new earth is all about collective consciousness and unity. It's about supporting each other. There's also a timeline where we are selfish and narcissistic and we are out for our own separate interests. That's a whole different agenda and learning process. That's part of the split in consciousness. It's how our souls have decided to learn, but we're learning on different earth schools. Some of us need the contrast of the selfish dimension where we are out for ourselves, and those are the timelines that we'll experience, and a lot of those timelines will have to be with war and power struggles and whatever other experiences we have. If you are choosing to remain in unity consciousness, it's going to be a much smoother, beautiful experience. We're not to say that we won't have negative experiences happening, like natural disasters and floods and stuff, but we will come together as a community and we will help each other through it, and we will build a better earth. And I am still tired. I'm sure I could keep going on and on, but this feels like a good place to end this transmission. So thanks for sticking with me. If you're still here, I'm sure these messages are going to start coming through more loudly and more clearly, because I am sober now. I am fasting and I feel great, and I feel in a place where I'm excited to see what else is coming through. But this is there's nothing to worry about. Things are getting better, things are getting good. Just follow what it is that you're passionate about and stay in as high of a frequency as you can. Make time to meditate, make time to sit in the sun, absorb the consciousness, be in nature, ground yourself, meditate, and you will have all the answers you need inside.